Now, unlike driving in a vehicle where it is fairly safe if you know what you're doing, walking just takes that, just is necessary for that extra degree of basically caution, you know. We are essentially part of the food chain, myself and Scott, walking around here, and so the laws of which we interact with these animals changes. Here, it's great respect for size and power. And something like an elephant, we got to respect his right of way here, and a big lion, we've got to respect their right of way here. And they, us, we don't want to get eaten by them, and they don't want to be harmed or chased by us by any way. So it does take us walking quietly through the bush, and that's what we're going to be doing now. Quietening down, getting in touch with the bush. So I see a termite mound there in the background. I'm going to be going to it. Doesn't look like much, but essentially that's one of Mother Nature's most efficient air conditioning units. This is an active termite mound, and I know it's active because of the lack of a lot of vegetation. Termite mounds that are not active are covered in grass. This one you can see is a little bit open on the side. Basically, even where I'm standing, there's still termites from the same colony. Very much like an iceberg. Only 10% of the termite mound actually sticks out the top. 90% of it is underneath. Some of them many hundreds of years old. You have trees on them sometimes that grow to 300, 400, 500 years. Now, we don't really know if it's the same colony that has or passing down of a queen that carries on with the colony, or whether or not when a termite queen dies, and she lives for up to 17 years, whether she will die, and it's just such a perfect habitat for a new queen to take hold that she flies in with her mate and they just re-establish a new colony. We don't really know that. It's one of the mysteries in the insect world. Let's carry on. Now, what we've been doing is we've been walking very close to this drainage line here. And drainage lines are like highways in the bush, really. There's soft sand down there. During the heat of the day, animals rest up down there, and they make for these unbelievably straight line, basically highways through the bush. Now, we came up here. We're on a very steep embankment. We're looking down onto the sand, and we've seen what we can see. I'm looking for things like tracks. I approached it quite carefully. Very often you find predators will actually lie down on the soft, cool sand and rest up during the day. You can see all the way down there. It's quite a substantial drainage line. What Scott and I are going to try and do is we're actually going to try and take you down there so you can see what I mean by one of these super highways in the bush. So we're going to find a place to get down. This is very steep. Won't be able to do it without wings on. We should be there in a bit. What I do want to show you, though, give Scott some time just to get into place, is that even though it might be too steep for us, it's not too steep for a buffalo. This is a buffalo track, and he went down this gully onto that sand. For those of you who thought buffalo were ponderous creatures that couldn't get down steep things like that, you're mistaken. It's impressive. I must be honest with you, I wouldn't go down there. 1,000-pound animal just crashed down there. Crazy. Let's hope he doesn't jump on our heads when we're in there. I'm constantly checking for wind. It's important to do so. When possible, it's always best to keep the wind in your face. It's not always the case, but when it's possible, we're going to try. What have we here? Here we have the diggings of probably, it's tough to say, man, but I'd probably say it's a porcupine, or it's it's a porcupine. That's what I'm going to be saying that it is. I might be wrong here. For those of you who can help me with any tracks, you're welcome to suggest an alternative. To give you some scale, it's like that. Porcupines dig for roots. This is far too big an excavation for a mongoose. And it may be a honey badger, but honey badgers tend to go down. They don't really go in like that or get to such a big point down there. So it might be a porcupine. Porcupines are fairly common out here. And I was expecting it to be a burrow of some sort, but it's definitely just diggings, and diggings for some food. We've managed to locate a way down to this highway. Now we're going to be going down here quite carefully, simply because it's difficult for us to see down there. You never know what's hiding. And we've managed to find the most beautiful nests. These are from a single bird. It's a weaver. And I'll bring you in close in a second. First, have a look at the way that's constructed out of grass. I mean, this is an animal with a brain no bigger than your fingernail, actually your baby fingernail. And look at the absolute complexity. Note particularly how the branch has been stripped of leaves and how thick the grass netting is on the top, which does two things. It insulates the egg and the female that's sitting on the egg, and it acts as a rain cover. And the entrance is at the bottom. Now let's see if we can go a bit closer and you can see what the entrance looks like. Tough to see, unfortunately, but
doing for Saturday, Sunday now. Maybe that's what maybe
meticulously placed.
I mean, 3 hours. I mean, it's great that we're doing 3 hours, but fuck, it's long, huh? I mean. All right, guys. Welcome back this side, and glad you could join us. We're just talking about All right. Let me just regain myself here. This was a break from the bushwalk there. Guys went into a deep dip. We'll see if we can find them again. But this side, not too much happening. This leopard is taking it easy because he can. He's got a belly full of meat. In fact, we can really see that full belly from where we're sitting now. Guys, we're just talking about a bunch of things here, but leopard and game drives and the live safari and how awesome it is. But we specifically mentioned, where are we now? I'll show you just now. Give me a second. We're just waiting for something. Guys, we wanted to show you this, but let me just get into a good position. Whoa, that's an alarm call from a Franklin. I wonder what that is. Look at the leopard's eyes are open. It's coming from where the kill was before, so I would guess maybe a hyena. But we're going to show you this quickly. This is a possible ID mark. Look right in the middle of that rosette. Keep in mind, leopards don't really have spots, even though the saying goes they don't change their spots. They have spots that make up these rosette markings, but look at that rosette. Apart from the fact that it's a beautiful pattern, look at the little black dot in the middle of it. Now that's unique to this leopard. So this would be another way that we could IDQ in the future, if you can see him from this side. And also, you might not always see that spot so easily because his belly is very full at the moment. It sort of pushes that out a bit. But he's seeing something. I'm not seeing what he's seeing, but he's sitting up in a tree. We are not. As I said, I would have to guess a hyena, maybe another leopard. Although the leopards of this area, his brother perhaps. We haven't seen Kunuma for a few days. We know Mvula is not around here because Mvula is with Hayden. Might have been something else as well, something small, maybe just the Franklin that got a fright. But maybe something smaller. He doesn't look too worried. Yeah, John would like to be a wildlife photographer. We're talking about the dream jobs from earlier. Daniel was saying, there we go, Daniel, I like your answer. You just want to be in the wild. And Anna would like to be, what is that, Anna? Very good. An environmental scientist. Studying leopard, I'm sure, Anna. Guys, thanks for the feedback there. There's a couple of what people would like to be. In this case, all of them something related to the wild. But I know that if you had to do a big international survey with hundreds of thousands of people answering that question, one of the things that comes to the foreground very often, I think I've read it once, that it's not just that they want to be a wildlife photographer, but that they want to be a photographer for National Geographic. Many times, and this is what we are at the moment. More specifically, Brian and VM on the vehicles. But we were just talking about it earlier, that what we're doing here is certainly something people dream about, and we've spoken about it a few times with the guys behind camera, not only on drive but sometimes afterwards as well. And I can see it sometimes. I look back and the guys are paying attention, but they've got this little smile. Imagine filming wildlife.
Definitely can't even put words to what the cameramen here experience.
Yeah, that is for sure. And the fact that we share it is a massive thing. Massive. Gets lonely being a photographer or a cameraman. But what we're doing here is we're sharing things, and that is, on a personal level as well, gives you great contentment, maybe satisfaction, enjoyment, pleasure. The fact that we can share these amazing experiences. just in case you're wondering, Stefan is fine. I know a few of you have been away for a few minutes, but Stefan and then went in some tricky terrain, and we came back to us. With this leopard, we'll probably go to Hayden in a bit, seeing what Mvula is up to. I'm not sure exactly what Mvula is doing now, but this is what we've got. He's not doing too much. He's moved a bit. We heard a francolin call just now. Franklin's a bird almost like a grouse or a pheasant, something similar to that, like a small wild chicken, if you want to sort of generalize it. Over here towards the left, back towards where the original kill was made, when this guy killed this kudu. So I was thinking, Ahina, the leopard looked around, didn't see anything. For now, we're not seeing anything. He's gone back to sleep. So I think let's go to HT. I'm sure he's got maybe a bit more active leopard activity. And we'll see you back here in a bit.
Okay, folks, well, we've been with Mvula for some time now, and he's just been looking around some time, and we're just walking with him as he's looking down into this drainage line. If he goes down in there, he'll probably potentially find something. But at the moment, he's just sort of going right along the edge of it. These animals have great success. We have Max in Toronto, and Max wants to know what all the little nicks and cuts on Mvula's ears are. I'm going to try just to show you those, if I can get up a little bit closer. Let's see if he stops for me. He stopped just there. Now, if you go in nice and tight, wants to know what all the little nicks and cuts on Mvula's ears are. I'm going to try just to show anything like that. But, you know, coupled with a little bit of fly bite, when the animal does get a wound, they might get flies that annoy it and keep the wound open, and then you just get scar tissue on the top. Now, if you were just to pull back on that shot and go as wide as you possibly can, and just keep him in the bottom corner of frame, you could see, if you were really still, okay, if you were really, really still, and he stayed nice and still, you can see how that camouflage is playing a beautiful part now for him, with this sort of light diminishing in front of us. That rosette pattern starts to break up the definition of him. He's definitely just keeping his eyes open here. And this is a perfect spot for him to lie. He's got a little bit of cover here, and an animal coming out of the drainage line in front of him to feed on the tender sort of grass that's been cut on the edges could be just the ticket for him. So, folks, also, we just wanted to remind you that if you could send... we've got 2 fireside chats this weekend. We've got one on Saturday night and one on Sunday night. The sort of theme for Saturday night is predator density or predator populations, and how we've got a lot of... I mean, we've seen 4 leopards today. How we're seeing so many predators at the moment, and potential theories on why that is, and that sort of thing. And if you want more information, you can go to the Facebook page of WildEarth.tv and find out more info there. And then the Sunday night, the theme is wild parenting. So all the sorts of parenting behaviours that you see in the wild with different animals, but particularly the big cats and particularly the leopards. But it doesn't have to be the leopards or big cats. It can be other questions as well on maybe it's elephant or anything you really want. But person to get to choose the name for show's cub, I should say. So also you can tweet those or send us those suggestions as well. So for more information, if you go onto the Facebook page at WildEarth.tv, or you can tweet us at SafariLIVE, which is hashtag SafariLIVE, or you can email us at questions@WildEarth.tv.
Definitely treat with a lot of respect. As I was mentioning a bit earlier, for those of you who are with us, things that weigh more than you or have sharper teeth and claws than you do over here is definitely something that we want to try and give right of way to. Just one of these respect things that I'm talking about when we're dealing in the bush. You'll notice that I've also moderated the tone of my voice, and that's so that I don't come across as overtly loud in this environment. The bush is actually quite a quiet place. Those old buffalo bulls are making their way off now. We're going to go to the other side of the dam to give ourselves some space, and we're going to see what we can find over there. Come along. Those buffalo are moving off now onto the road. It actually works in our favor that I'm faced with a choice here. Which way do I go? Do I carry on walking across the dam? Do we carry on the way that we were going? And I think what's actually going to be best for us is to carry on in the way we were going. Right when we had lost you, Scott and myself found some male leopard tracks that were on the floor, and he was heading in this direction down next to this dam. I think it's going to be good if we go down here and see if we can find some tracks now that those buffalo have moved off. Tracking is such a huge part of being out here in the bush. It's when you're off the car that you truly are able to experience the bush around you. When you don't have a clattery engine around, you can hear so much better, and that makes all the difference when you're tracking. So, it is getting a little bit dark right now, and Scott and myself coming out of that drainage line where we lost your signal, we've come out to this beautiful dam. There were some buffalo standing here. We're now looking for some leopard tracks. We had some fresh leopard track back there where we lost you, and we've now come out here to see if we can find it again. We're going to be checking all these game paths. These dams end up being nodes. They end up being focus points for animals coming to and from the dam. And leopard will very often hunt these game paths in the hope that they find something either walking to the water or coming back from the water. And it's on one of these game paths that I expect to find one of these leopard tracks again, which will give us a direction that we can move off on. Let's carry on looking over here. You won't be able to notice it, but I found the leopard track I was looking for right here. Track of a big male leopard. He's moving off exactly in that direction, and that's exactly where we're going to be going now. Doesn't look like much, I know, but for a tracker that's as much as a neon signboard, this is where this big Tom walked.
I mean, I'm laughing about it now because it's past and it's cool, but it's still not cool, you know, it's not.
That was wrong.
Well, welcome back. Sit with something as beautiful as a leopard, and you can have conversations, and you can have surprises. And we're in that part of the evening now where, what's the time? Just past 5:30. Saturday this time we'll be sitting around the fire, talking about a few things. Speaking of which, if you part of the sort of conversations and discussions more often on the vehicle than not, and you like to be part of it, firstly, thank you. It's always nice to have people chatting with us. By the way, if you don't feel like saying anything ever, that's also great. I go on game drive, sitting in the back. Often I'm just happy just to look and enjoy the views. But coming back to the fireside chat Saturday and Sunday, we are going to be answering a few questions, and we're looking for as many questions as possible from all of you. You can send those questions into questions@wildearth.tv, or of course tweet it as well, #SafariLIVE. And the questions should be around, one of the things we are going to talk about is all this activity or interspecies competition or sort of bumping into each other, if you want, of apex predators. If there's any questions surrounding the interaction between leopard and hyena, hyena and wild dog, lion and leopard, hyena and lion, anything surrounding that. The other subject we're going to be talking about is, obviously with Mother's Day in mind, is wild parenting. So a little bit broader than just, you know, sort of mum and babies, but wild parenting and anything that you might be wondering about in terms of parent-youngster relationship or even parent-environment relationship. You know, parenting for someone in London and parenting for someone in New York and parenting for someone living in a local village around the corner in Africa here somewhere, that could be quite different. Even though they're doing the same thing, it could be quite different. The same as for parenting for a leopard in Sabi Sands, where there's lots of bush and big trees like the one that this one is sleeping in. You could also say, well, it's quite different for parenting for a leopard that maybe lives in Namibia in the desert, or a leopard that lives in the jungles of Central Africa. So any types of questions like that, please send them through to us. And quickly, jump to Stefan. There's something happening there. We'll see you just now.
You love. Well, welcome back to us, and I'm sorry we're having such problems with the signal at the moment, but we are in a very deep area, deep ravine, and we quickly came back onto the road where we had signal last, where I could greet you and say, I hope that you enjoyed the bushwalk with us, however short it was, and I hope that you enjoyed the leopard that we found for you this afternoon, and which Hayden showed you so beautifully. Myself and Scott are going to be saying good night. Thank you so much for joining us, and all the best.
So folks, we left Mvula to carry on with his hunting. It's just too thick, that country, to go through, so let him get on with it, and I'm sure he's going to get something tonight. He's on the hunt, very successful in that area. There's lots of prey animals through there. Little impala herds just sort of on the verges where he was sitting, and when we last saw him, there's warthog, but warthog will be asleep or going to find a place to sleep now, because warthog are actually diurnal, they're active during the day. But there's nyala as well, and kudu, and steenbok, and that little steenbok was a bit tricky, you know, around the back of that termite mound, but it did detect something well before it saw us. But anyway, the great thing was that we got to track him and got to be with him a bit, and hopefully we'll be able to pick up on his tracks in the morning. But it's been an incredible leopard day, that's for sure. I'm going to sign off now and go back to Pete in a minute, or Steph, I'm not sure. But what I wanted to say was thank you very much for joining us. And And it's been great to have you here. Thank you for all your questions. A fantastic morning, starting off with that beautiful hyena sighting in the morning, and then Q, and then going back and seeing Q, and then picking up Mvula from that wonderful tracking of Scott, Steph, and Brent. So hats off to them as well for finding that for us. So, folks, great one. Thanks so much. Remember, if you want any more information, go to the WildEarth.tv website, Facebook page about what the theme for the questions are. And also, we really look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. All right, from VM and I, we'll see you next time, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Cheerio. We're going to hand back to Pete.
Well, quick goodbye from Stefan there. We'll see what the guys on foot find again tomorrow. And from Hayden as well. And we are left here with a beautiful scene, stunning setting, amazing cat. So we can't complain. We're happy. I'm sure you are too. It's been a very good afternoon, great leopard activity. He's looking around slightly again. We haven't seen or heard anything else. In fact, he's hardly moved. This is the first time his head has moved in any direction. Oh, I love looking at them. This time of the night, the pupils start getting bigger, even with a bit of light on them. And as soon as the pupils get a bit bigger, it really makes their face sort of come alive for me, even more so than in bright daylight when the pupils are very small. Good evening, John, and you're joining us on safari from one of the nicest places, in my opinion, in the world, one of the nicest cities, from Cape Town. John is just wondering how long will this food last, this leopard? I don't think another week. I mean, keep in mind a lot of this food was taken by the hyenas. Let me just get another. Let me show you how much food is left. There's not much left there, and it's not much to look at. There's the remains. You can see the stripe of the kudu, and it's mostly sort of dried meat, and it's got a bit of sand and stuff on it. But that would last him another day, maybe another 2 days. I don't think more than that. I would say by tomorrow evening this time, he would have abandoned this. Now, the rest of the kudu was taken by a hyena yesterday. There's still a good chunk left, and he's had a good session. I mean, he's been feeding on that kudu since yesterday morning, so he's had a good solid feed from this. So it can last them a week sometimes if it's a very big carcass and nothing takes from them. But typically for leopard, they would normally feed sort of 2 to 4 days or something like that on a carcass, depending on the size, obviously. And again, that's obvious. I'm sure you understand that, John, and many of you. But for those of you that don't know much about leopard, the reason they put the food up in the tree like that is so that they can feed it for 2 or 3 days. If you're a big lion and you're part of a pride of 15 other lions, you kill a big thing like a buffalo, you can just eat that for as long as you want because you can chase away anything else because you're a lion. But for leopard, they can't chase away lions, they can't chase away hyenas, they can't chase away wild dogs. So it's better for them to put the food somewhere out of reach of all of those animals, and then they can feed it sort of at their own leisure, at their own time. Just to hear a bit of sound, there's another game drive coming in, joining us here. Sorry, just check this game drive calling me. I think they know they can come in. Give me a second, Bullera. I'm going to get to your question now. Game drive, you can just pull in for. Sorry, my radio was down.
2.
You can just pull in. Bullera, you're asking what kind of tree this is. And I sometimes compare this tree's bark to the spots of a leopard even, because it makes these sort of dappled markings. But this is a marula tree. This is Andrew from Cheetah Plains, a good friend of mine, arriving with his guests. Leopard is having sort of a, from his body language, I'm guessing sort of a semi-bored look at the other vehicle. Not too much going on yet at the moment for him, so he's also finding us interesting. Excellent question, Josh. Excellent question. See, it's important to think out the box sometimes. Josh, you were just wondering, what do leopards do with their kills if there are no trees? Here in Sabi Sands and Kruger area, it is lush. There are lots of big trees everywhere, so that's no problem. Also lots of leopard. But Josh, you're referring to sort of more open areas, big savanna land where there's not maybe many trees, deserts, for instance, where you also find leopard. Well, the terrain and the habitat, all of those things would play a big role. Leopard also do very well in mountains, and in mountains they would just put the, up in amongst rocks or something where another predator can't find it that easily, so they would just hide it more rather than sort of take it out of reach of animals. You see it even here sometimes, that they just hide their food under a bush. Karula is one of those that doesn't always put her food up in a tree. She would sometimes hide it under a bush. As for in the desert areas, if there's maybe no mountains as well, it's just flat with a little bit of grass here and there, they would try just not to be discovered. But also keep in mind, in those areas you would often have much lower density of predators. We are, in Sabi Sands, the area we're in fact, that's one of the things we are going to be talking about Saturday around the fire. One of the things we're looking forward to getting questions from you guys is about predator density and the effect that has on each other, sort of amongst the predators. If you go to a desert type environment or even a more sort of arid savanna environment, the density of predators will be much less. So the leopard will be much less likely to be disturbed or discovered by hyenas or lions if he did make a kill. And if that happened, he would just run away and lose that kill in that case. So, I mean, for us here, we see a leopard with a kill in a tree, and it's almost, especially at the moment, because keep in mind we do have a hyena clan in the area. At the moment, it's almost sort of a given that hyenas will arrive at some stage. This morning, we had hyenas with this leopard. We had hyenas with a leopard that we were with Shadow and them. So it is a situation for us, or the habitat or the environment we're in, where there are a lot of predators and a lot of interaction between them. If we were to go somewhere different, you might find that you don't see leopard as often. In fact, I can guarantee you won't see leopard as often. This is one of the best places in the world for it. So all those things would play a role in the leopard being able to still get his food. Good question, Josh. I like questions that are applied. We can feel and hear the person was thinking about something going on here. So I'm going to try something. I'm just going to kill our lights quickly. Let's see what it looks like. Brian? No.
If he starts walking,
Yeah, if he goes up that branch, we're going to kill these lights, because then we're going to have a silhouetted leopard. Which he might do. Oh, beautiful. Oh, he's going to come down. No, he's going to go to another branch. Guys, that just shows you how great the camouflage are on a leopard. If they go and stand behind a tree, you almost can't see them. Wendy, hello, good evening. Good morning still, I guess, almost afternoon where you are. Wendy's from St. Petersburg, and not the one in Russia, the one in Florida. Sure, it's a lovely place. Wendy, ooh, wow. That was about a, let me just look, that was about a 9-foot jump, straight. And Wendy, sorry, I was about to answer you and then the things changed a little bit around us. That's stunning. Right in front of the car. In fact, the bonnet, or the hood as you guys call it in North America, is almost in the way there. Look at that. Wendy, you were just asking how long does it take for a leopard to get acclimatized, or habituated is the word we use for it, to the vehicles and the radios and the people's voices and all the activity. Now, for some leopard, it just happens. Like this guy, he would have grown up with his mother already used to it, so he would have just grown up with vehicles being part of his environment, the same as a tree or the same as an elephant. And that's why he just never bothered with it. From baby, very tiny young leopard, he would have been used to the vehicles, and he would have taken his cues from his mother. A lot of the leopard in Sabi Sand is habituated in that way. They are born into it. They are just, it's the same as, how are we acclimatized, or how are we habituated to television, or to technology, or to getting in a motor car, or to sitting on a chair. It's just normal, because that's what happens when we grow up. For wild leopard, not wild, I mean, that was not said in the right way. These are all wild leopard, but for leopard that come from an area where there's no human presence. So for a big male leopard maybe coming out of Kruger that has never seen a car, or not seen many cars, he would have seen a few somewhere. But if he comes out of an area where there's no roads or no people, it could take sometimes long, months, years, depends on the effort made. If you put the effort in with experienced guides like we have in this area, you can normally get them quite quickly to accept vehicles to some extent, a couple of weeks if you have the opportunities, and then within 6 months to a year, they normally get to this level of where you can follow them through the bush without a problem. Guys, I'm going to quickly, this leopard caught a little bit disturbed, not quite ready, maybe better than saying with my pants around my ankles. He caught us a little bit unawares. There we go. Brian, any trees behind us that I need to look out for? Yes, that one. I wasn't expecting him to move so quickly because he's still got food there. And he just jumped down, off he goes. There you go. I wonder where he's going. He might be going for a drink. Treehouse Dam, that's the direction he's heading in, but it's a bit of a distance. That was a bit unexpected. Let's see where he goes. He got away so quickly. We'll find him again, but the way he's walking, I'm guessing that he's going to Treehouse Dam. It'll take him a little while to get through all this brush. And to be fair, it'll take him a little while to get out of this as well. As you can know, there he is. Let's have a quick last look at him. We've been so spoiled with him this afternoon. I'm not going to pursue him for too much longer. I wonder what he's doing there. Smelling something on the ground. Have a last look at him. Enjoy him for the last minute or two. I'm just waiting for Andrew also to catch up. Let me just call Andrew. Other game drive vehicle. He would still like to see him. Andrew again. 2. Sorry guys, we're using these new radios and it's that's trying to compete with me by counting to 2. Andrew again. What's he smelling? Very carefully smelling around there. Wonder what that's about. Oh, I think Andrew is leaving. Can see him driving off. They've had a good look. And I think we should be grateful for a fantastic afternoon with this leopard. He's slowly moving around, and you know what, he's doing some private business. I think that is a good call for us. So you know what, Q? That's our Q. Great afternoon with you. And tomorrow morning, we're going to come back here again. Yeah, no, he's having some private time there. Let's leave him to it. Tomorrow morning, we're going to come straight back. The closest way to the road is actually almost from the kill. So luckily I can see the lights from Andrew's vehicle. We'll use that as a helping hand. And it's going to be a little bit noisy. This is that North Monkey Thorn. It sounds like you're driving through a battle for planet Earth when you drive through this stuff. Okay, guys, that's the tree. Mark it, put it in your memory. Tomorrow morning we're going to come find it again. See if Q is still around. That food is enough to maybe keep him there for the night. I think we had a way through here somewhere. Yes. This will get us out. I'll take a little twig with, so we don't have to. The early morning, up until my second cup of coffee. They need to have a little twig on the road so we can find ourselves again. Although this is, I thought we could get out here, but I think that's a little bit tricky. Always more tricky at night, this kind of driving, because, well, because it's dark. You can't see where you're going always. So almost. Oh, what's this? Oh, I'm not going to show you today. It's just the stomach content from that kudu. So I think it's when those hyenas got all of that rest of the carcass and stole it from the leopard. They must have dropped it there in the process of taking it back to their den. Hey. Almost fireside talk for the weekend, you know, how to make fire, for instance, all the basics of having a fireside chat. So I'm going to try and get there exactly on time. Exactly 5 years ago tonight, I was planning how to be on time for the church. It was 5 years ago tonight, I was getting married tomorrow. You know what? Sorry, for those of you that have known me for a long time, I've got a very relative approach to time. You know, I still believe it's physically impossible to be late for anything, because you can only get to a place when you get there. I mean, you can't like be in front of time or after time. You get there when you get there, which I know drives a few people up the wall sometimes with what we do, because sometimes the seconds are important here. but I ended up being just a little bit late for my wedding ceremony. Leishan, of course, my wife, and beautiful girl. Beautiful girls, they're allowed to be a bit late. It's fashionable, you know. She was on time. Yeah, time. It's an interesting thing. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to keep driving because I want to get an idea of what I can do with the time remaining. But while we're driving, I just want to say thank you so much for a fantastic day. It really has been a wonderful day. Every day we've been back here since last week. It's just great to be part of everything going on. Great to be part of this fantastic team of people out here, and amazing to be part of this amazing experience. So thank you very much for all of that, but especially for today. We've had awesome leopard this morning, this afternoon, Vula, Q, Shadow this morning with her cub, and just great experiences all around. And as always, we would not have been able to do this without you. So thank you very much. This is a big shout out to everyone that joined us for the drive. Brian, as always, awesome to have you on camera. And everyone back in the control room, Walt, Tara, Nikki, Alex. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. And for myself, Peter Pretorius, it is always a pleasure, always a privilege to take you around and look around. We've got a little bit of time left, I think about a minute or so. And we are in the wild, we are on safari, it's wild and live, anything can happen. So stick around, maybe we come around the next bend and we see Karula. That would be cool. If you want to see me jumping out of the screen, Karula would make that happen for me. But yes, just a big thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow morning again for the drive. And guys, remember, we've got a big weekend coming up for all of you in North America, in the USA. 2 drives, 9 o'clock Eastern time to 12 o'clock Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you make it. Get your friends on board if they haven't been part of it before. And look forward to seeing you then, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. As I said, goodbye. See you later.